The Twitchiest community has earned themselves a $1,000 bonus giveaway by reaching all of our goals with Guardian Tales. So go ahead and check out the description down below to go get your entries. The more ways you enter, the better your chances to win the $1,000, and keep your eyes out for opportunities in the future to earn more cash giveaways for the Twitchiest community. Hello everybody, welcome to your Anhur guide. So we're going to be grabbing ourselves the leather cowl. I do believe that leather cowl is going to really pop up in popularity. It's not necessarily the end-all be-all item right now. You're still going to see a lot of other starters, particularly bluestone, on gods that are really good on proccing bluestone. But leather cowl is getting a MP5 buff onto it, which is basically the only thing that it doesn't give you. You get power, lifesteal, attack speed, and either more attack speed and movement speed, depending on if you're next to somebody or not. So then it with MP5 on it, it's the only thing that it doesn't do well. So I think it's going to be kind of the de facto go-to item for anybody that doesn't have crazy good synergy with bluestone. And of course, working on into our transcendence as our first major item with a couple of potions. So Anhur right now has been meta for quite a bit. I would say that his biggest competition is Chiron and Heim. Those three have kind of been going at it as the top supports, or excuse me, top hunters. And the reason why is because you get to do stuff like this, where you get level 2, you jump in, you've got a knock up on your jump, then you impale them into the wall, which is a stun. You've got 2 CC abilities already at level 2 and a ton of damage. So Anhur is an extremely aggressive god, if not the most early aggressive god possibly in the game, and a lot of that is just due to the fact that he has a lot of CC built into his kit, and he also has passive penetration. That is right, he has built in 20 flat pen. You have to auto attack and actually hit somebody for this to happen, but once you get them once, then they've got that 20 pen reduction, 20 production reduction on them for 3 seconds, which means basically in the early game through the mid game, you're pretty much doing true damage. So there's not really anybody that can fight early game like Anhur. For our level order, that is going to be 4, 2, 1, 3. Although we are actually going to be getting our 1 at level 4, but as far as maxing goes, the reason why we do that is because 1, our ultimate does a bajillion damage. We want to make sure we're ranking up our ultimate whenever we can. Then our 2, because that is also going to rank up the stun duration. Gonna trap this little Capri into a corner. Nobody puts Capri into a corner except for Anhur. Then we're gonna level up our 1. We level up our 1 before our 2 to max because it is going to give us increased damage in slow. So how the pillar works is if somebody is within the pillar radius, that being like this, so you can see that those creeps are within the pillar radius, they're gonna actually take extra damage from Anhur, and they're going to be slowed. I'm gonna back right now and grab my full boots. I was completely out of mana. You will be out of mana, especially if you're going extra ham with that leather cowl start. For now, way less out of mana after the mid-season patch. I should also note that after the mid-season patch, obviously you're not buying boots, but the build itself for hunters is probably mostly going to stay the same. There might be a little bit of a comeback of Devo gloves. People are certainly going to experiment with it because Transcendence is having the cost increase again. It's going up by 150 gold back to what it was. But honestly, I still think an extremely popular build is going to be leather cowl right into the Transcendence immediately, right? Because you don't need the boots. Into either Aussie or Exy. Because think about how early you can get crit on like that. Leather cowl gives you some life steal, Transcendence for the damage and the mana, right into crit. You get yourself right into like a Wind Demon or something. That is a lot of potential damage. We're gonna run right into this Rama. We're gonna pillar, block him off, and then use our little impale. And now he has absolutely nowhere to go. I've also got my ultimate up. I'm gonna wait for the pluck. And then we're going to be able to put down the Capri as well. So one little neat trick that you should know about Anhur's Pillar is Anhur's Pillar will actually give you credit for mobs. And what I mean by that is sometimes you can't get in range of the creeps, or you need to leave or something, and the creeps are going to be killing themselves. Maybe you're getting zoned out, something like that. If you actually throw down your pillar, that will proc on the creeps, and it will give you the XP as if you were in range. Or you could throw down the pillar, because the pillar stays out for quite a few seconds. It's gonna be out for 7 seconds. So say somebody was doing the wave way over there, I could actually throw down the pillar, run away, be way outside of the credit range, but as long as that pillar has touched those creeps, I'm gonna be getting all the credit for the wave. So just to keep in mind, if you are getting behind, that is a great way to make sure you're still getting credit on Anhur. Although on Anhur, you're not going to be very behind in the early game very often. You can drop off towards the late game though. So Anhur is, as you can see, very obviously a mid and early game hunter. That is where he thrives, is because he has so much early game damage with the flat pen and all the CC. In the late game, you are still a good hunter. Honestly, right now, the late game typically depends more on who gets there first than necessarily who is like the ultimate late game god, right? Like in general, a super late game, you would expect Rama to be better because he's got the stims and stuff like that. But for the most part, Anhur is usually going to be ahead of him just from the early game. And like, if you never get level 20, then the late game becomes a lot harder, right? For our pairings with Anhur in the lane, you just want aggressive, aggressive, aggressive. Anhur is peak performance all up in your business, so you're going to want a support that can keep up with Anhur. The most popular to pair with Anhur is going to be Sobek and Ymir. Sobek and Ymir, pretty straightforward. Sobek plucks targets to you. You give them a nice alley-oop right into the wall, smash their face into it. And then, of course, Ymir, he can also summon you a wall. So if Ymir walks up, freezes somebody, and then walls behind them, then you can just impale right into that freshly made wall. Those are by far the two most common combinations with him, but anybody that is aggressive will work. You can do a Yamoja, utilize her ultimate as well for additional walls. You could just do a Fafnir and just utilize his stun setup for it. Whatever. Doesn't matter, just something that wants to play aggressive. You could throw it with a Horus for the stuns, etc. Now there's an Erling over here, so I gotta be a little bit careful. Don't quite have my impale back up yet. There it is. Now I'm gonna save my pillar just to try to block him a little bit as he comes in. I'm gonna get 3-man rotated on. I don't think I'm gonna be out of here just because I am so out of mana. If I had more mana right now, I could probably escape this with some more abilities, but they're gonna get me with a nice little 3-man rotation. Luckily, I got the tower. I can get a full transcendence and, of course, some much needed wards now that I'm gonna have to move up past that tier 1 tower location, and then we'll work ourselves into our Asi for that lifesteal. Anhur is also technically a flex pick. You can also run him in the mid lane. I don't recommend necessarily running Hunters mid unless you have a magical damage ADC, but if you were going to run like a Kronos or a Soul or something in the ADC role, you can actually run Anhur in the mid lane. One of the few hunters that does work mid. I would say him and Chiron are probably the two best hunter middles, with probably a notable shout out to like Neith and Izanami can also work pretty decent there as well. But in general, you will be playing him in the hunter role, but you can flex pick him a little bit. You can really flex pick him into the jungle if you want to. He's probably the best hunter jungle as well, but definitely the best in the actual ADC role. So once you get your early game lead on Anhur, you're going to want to get out some deep rewards because chances are you are going to get rotated on. Now, as long as I have mana, I'm actually pretty comfortable fighting into the Erlang. So it doesn't bother me a ton if he's going to rotate over to me. I can try to take that 1v2. So I'm going to get a deep ward out there by Goldfury and another one over here by the purple. just gonna kind of wait to see if Rama shows himself anywhere. I'm quite far ahead of him now, and I don't even actually need to necessarily go for this wave. I can just kind of run at the Rama. So I'm going to throw down my pillar, which is going to give me a bunch of extra bonus damage on my ultimate. And now I'm just going to try to run around, kite around the ulti a little bit. And then we should be able to just put him out of his misery. On the map, we got the words out, so I can now see if anybody is coming my way. Looks like we got a Kepri maybe trying to rotate himself over here. Osiris over right, Morgana middle, but I've already got the wave. I got the kill, so I'm going to back out. So one thing that you're going to do if you're this far ahead, that I'm not doing a ton of right now because it's a little bit cheesy, but if you are actually really far ahead, your waves are going to get pushed up like this. And so you're actually going to get into a bit of a last hit battle with the enemy ADC. And what I mean by that is you're going to stop, for the most part, actually clearing the wave. And you're going to let the waves last hit each other. And you're just going to stand in front of the wave and zone out the enemy ADC from their farm. It's a pretty try-hard thing to do, so I'm probably not going to do it this game. But if you're in like a high-level ranked game or like an SPL, you will actually see a lot of people do this. And so basically all it is you go up in front of their wave and you stop the enemy ADC from getting up to it with you.
A monument to my strength.
You can see my auto attacks right now are already doing 200 damage when they're inside of that pillar. And so right now, if I wanted to full try hard this, I literally wouldn't clear this wave at all. Even though he's basically dead, I can still let this last hit and let the wave come all the way back down to my tower. Now I don't have to worry about getting ganked, right? Because now I'm safe by my tower. I don't have to worry about all the jungler in the middle lane coming over because I've got myself positioned too far forward. I'm not actually going to do all that last hitting this game, but in general, you would sit there and just go for the last hit on the minions, letting them kill themselves over by your tower. That way, the enemy ADC has to move all the way up in order to come get the wave and the experience, thus putting them out of position and not you.
My awareness
But
is
as well, Sentry Ward over on the Gold Fury, back over to Duo, and I need to back up and grab my Aussie as well as my Aegis. So for our combo on Anhur, we have two different combos actually that we are going to try to be landing on him. Both of them straightforward, one of them not so easy. One is simply jumping in on the opponent. We see the opponent, we jump in. If we hit our jump, they are going to be knocked up. Because they're knocked up, that makes them a real easy target for our impale. So we would jump in, auto, and then impale. You could always get one extra auto attack in before you impale off the knockup. It is a long enough knockup for you to actually grab the auto without having to worry about missing your impale or anything. So jump in, auto, knockup. The other harder combo is to go for a raw pillar stun. The raw pillar stuns are a lot more difficult. I hear a blink behind me, so I'm gonna go ahead and use my pillar here for a little bit of body blocking onto the Erling. He has to do the ring around the Rosie while he is slowed. Can't hit me with the knockup. I popped the ulti immediately when I heard him blink in, just in case he went for me right off the bat for that CC immunity. So that harder combo is going to be the pillar stun. So instead of just using your 3 for the jump, that is easier, but obviously more risky, because you are going to be using your getaway skill in order to actually go in. So what you prefer to do is pillar behind a target and then immediately go for the impale, impaling them back into it, thus stunning them, getting you the kill. Because obviously a lot of players are going to keep themselves away from the walls, preventing you from getting that actual stun on your impale. Now you can use your pillar for this extra damage on the Gold Fury. Keep in mind, if you put the pillar too close to the Gold Fury, or if your friendlies run the Gold Fury around, it will actually take away your pillar. So you want to put it in a place where they're like within the circle, but not gonna like get run into and have the pillar get deleted. Another really cheesy thing that you can do with the pillar, which is actually an intended mechanic, is you can use it to body block these scorpions, especially the Elder Scorpion, to make it easier. So you throw out that pillar, and then you just start auto-attacking around your pillar, and you just use it as a body block mechanic to prevent the scorpions from actually getting to you. You can do that with those big scorpions as well, so you can basically just walk up and solo them. Get that enhanced purple buff for you and stuff. Really cheeky, but is actually an intended strategy. So I know that Rama is kind of around here because he had thrown down that ward. So I'm waiting on this wall. I'm going to jump over this wall, go right for him, get him with the impale. I think I might have also gotten his rollout on that. Throw down a little pillar here right behind him, so when he comes down, he's going to be a body blocked by the pillar, and then I get a nice free auto attack to finish up that kill. Now for your next item on Hunters, it's either going to be an Executioner or a Wind Demon. Executioner is going to be the better team fight build. First, the Wind Demon is going to be the better selfish 1v1 Hunter v Hunter fight. I almost always get the Wind Demon first because I find that I'm pretty much over here AFK farming until a little bit closer to 20 as a Hunter in this season. But if you want to go the Executioner, you can also grab the Executioner right here. Now, if you're going to get the leather cowl for your starter item, I would recommend keeping it and leveling it up into of course, into the Hunter's Cowl. So you keep that leather cowl up into the Hunter's Cowl. If you have the blue stone, I typically sell the blue stone in the late game to grab an extra crit item. But with the Hunter's Cowl giving you that nice bonus life steal, I find that it actually pairs really well with your couple of crit items. That plus an Aussie, woo-wee! You're gonna get a whole lot of sustain. So I'm gonna throw out my pillar just to kind of zone out the Rama, make him a little bit more scared for coming in. That way I can go for his tier 2 tower, and I should be able to grab that. Try to get myself out of this one. Now they might go for a hard fight on this. I'm gonna do a little pillar to kind of zone out the Erling. He's gonna have to go around the other way because he's gonna get stuck. Tries to get skinny, not gonna be able to get skinny enough though to get through that pillar. So much like the way that you would utilize the Ymir wall, you want to make sure you're using those Anhur pillars to block people off. And of course, every once in a while, make sure you use it to block off your team just to keep them humble. Now I've got a absolute ton of cash at this point, but we're also pretty close to level 20, and we've got a good bit more farm on the map, and we can also show you guys this kind of little cheeky scorpion thing. So you go ahead, throw down the pillar, and you see the scorpion is just gonna sit there like an absolute dunce while we get the full kill on him. Particularly useful in the early game before you have a bunch of extra lifesteal online. Makes it really easy for Anhur to go do the scorpion over at the Gold Fury to basically guarantee that you get that, because you should have won the laning phase anyway. For the guys that we don't like to go against on Anhur, there's honestly not a lot. One thing that I find is pretty bothersome is guys that have immunity frames. You've got this big CC and stuff through your abilities, through your impale, all that good stuff. But immunity frames tend to goof you up pretty good. Anybody that can stop the impale from hitting, anybody that can stop the knockup. So this is going to be guys like Robin who can just go ahead and straight up immune your impales and all of your good stuff with this too. I find that a Wheelix is actually quite good against Anhur because you have that leap. She can pull you out of it, forcing you to beads, and even though you've got a CC immunity on your ultimate as well, it actually doesn't matter because it's not like you can use the CC immunity on your ultimate in order to stop her from pulling your leap or anything. And plus she has the feather step, and a well-timed feather step right when you go to impale means no damage, means no knockback, no nothing. On that front, anybody that has knockback / knock up immunity also tends to be annoying for you because you've got a knockback and a knock up. So if they've got immunity to one, they've probably got immunity to another. A Zhong Kui is a good example of this. Zhong Kui runs in on top of you. He pops his ultimate. This is going to give him that knock up / knock back immunity. And then your only way to escape is hopefully to like jump over a wall or something. So watch out for guys that have knock up, knock back immunity. Gonna use the pillar here just to kind of keep myself a little bit safe while I am going for the Phoenix. I'm gonna run at this Erling in the background. We got a little bit of crit online. If we just get one, he's gonna be dead. I actually got my crit, but it was on the Osiris of all things. Gonna put him right over into the wall. Doesn't look like it's quite gonna get it. Gonna try to block him off with my pillar. Can't block him off because he's got his passive built up. And at this point, I've got so much healing, I can kind of just run right on top of them. Maybe try to get myself a little pillar action over here. We might even be able to put this game away. So for our last couple of items here, I'm gonna call for attack right lane because we got a bunch of creeps coming up. For our last couple of items here, we would of course be getting ourselves the Executioner. You need that Executioner for that percent penetration. Otherwise, the frontline warriors are gonna be a nightmare for you. And then we would eventually sell our boots for the Deathbringer. Obviously, in the next patch, you won't have the boots, so you won't have to sell them, and you'll still get the Deathbringer. This exact build is the one that I am intending to run on my hunters in after the mid-season patch. This is the one that I am intending on running. I think it's going to work on pretty much everybody, and you're going to get it online even quicker, obviously, with the removal of boot.
No problem.
I should be able to take this fire giant, no problem, because I got the leather cow and I got the see? Fantastic. So in the late stages of the game, Anhur actually is quite good at being able to self-peel. So your composition can be a little bit more aggressive. A lot of characters will need some help staying alive, right? Like a Thoth needs help staying alive. You can't really stop anybody from attacking him. A Rama needs help staying alive. He needs somebody in the back line, a Geb, a Kepri, somebody to help him out. Anhur has so much self-peel because you can make room for yourself with all of your displacement abilities. You impale somebody, push them back. That helps keep you alive. You throw down your pillar, you literally make room between you and the other person, especially for melee characters have a hard time sticking on Anhur. You jump away, you jump up and down and just try to use it for the knockup. You've got CC immunity. You've got everything that you could possibly want in a hunter kit, which is why that he's been a top hunter all season long and honestly has been one of the most consistent, if not the most consistently good hunters in the history of Smite, probably up there with Apollo. One of the original hunters, Anhur is as well. So like I said, one more time for that last item, we would have been selling those boots and grabbing ourselves a Deathbringer. So when you're Anhur, you want to start playing aggressive right from the get-go. The second you get that level 2, grab your leap, make sure you absolutely W key into the enemy team, try to land that jump for the knockup into the impale, and make sure you're paired yourself with somebody else that is also aggressive. Sobek, Yamoja, Ymir, anybody that can also run straight forward with you, even a warrior like a Horus or a Gilgamesh or somebody that's gonna go right in and be ready for that level 2 fight as well, guys. And that is your Anhur. Thank you for supporting the Twitchiest community. If you'd like to see more videos, make sure you subscribe to the channel and always hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of the upcoming videos. Thank you for all your support and have a Twitchin' day, y'all.